so much of media authority has been built via gatekeepers, the networks themselves, editors, publishers. And it seemed that podcasting shifted that anybody could start a podcast and lay claim to being an authority. And there because there's different kinds of podcasts. For example, my old podcast, I did not claim the authority. I always interviewed the authority, and that gave me an authority by association. But so many shows are out there just saying, here's what I think, and you all should be listening to me. So how do you assess where authority lives now, and who is actually holding the levers and controls of authority? Is it someone like you who's producing, or is it the listeners, or is it still the person who says, I have something to say in this free radio?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that podcast has democratized and decentralized a lot of that authority and control, the traditional gatekeeper. The thing you have to understand about podcasting is a sea of perhaps millions of niches, where very few podcasts in the world, a fraction of 1%, are things like the Joe Rogan Effect or Call Her Daddy or whomever, Amy Poehler's show, or all these other things that are huge, the Kelsey Brothers show. Like they're huge, big, many millions of people listen to it. There's actually very few that are like that. And a great majority of podcasts, even podcasts where they are professionals doing something professional and they are receiving part or all of their income from this show, are much, much smaller. And I think the best way to look at this, I always tell people when we're setting up a new podcast, what does success look like? And you can't use a number. You can't say, oh, I want 1 million downloads, or I want to make $100,000, or you can't use a number. You have to describe something without using any numbers. And the reason is because even those big shows like the Joe Rogan Experience is a niche. There's only a certain person in the world who's going to like that. There are millions of people in that niche, right? And if I decide I'm going to make a podcast about lino print, and like for other people who make lino prints, or a podcast about bird calls, there are not going to be millions of people in that niche. And the more successful the podcast is actually the more clearly defined the niche is. And so it's not just about bird calls, it's about bird calls in Central America.